Hello, namaste, vanakkam, adab. As you know that this is Bagantar Khader. In the last video, we saw that what is the V model and what is the advantages of V model and disadvantages about the V model. And one more SDLC model I explained in the last video, that is the prototype. When we are selecting this prototype and what is the advantage of that prototype and disadvantages as well. So our today's topic is like what is mean by agile methodology. So what is the importance of agile methodology in the SDLC, and when we are selecting this agile methodology and why this much importance is giving in this agile methodology. So all these things I'm going to explain you in this particular video. This is the agile methodology. So in what is agile methodology is here. In agile methodology, a part of requirements are given high priority. So whatever the requirements are given high priority, those can be developed first and deployed into the production environment. So for example, if you see here, the requirements are like the three requirements are there. The first requirement was given the high priority here. Uh, so whatever the requirement given high priority, that will be completed first and it was deployed, and then we are moving on to the requirement 2, that is having the less priority than the requirement 1. So requirement 2 is again it is design, develop, test, and deployment will be happen for this requirement 2. Once the requirement 2 is deployed into the production, so the requirement 3 plan will be happen, and design, develop, test, all these things will happen and it is going to deploy in the production. Like this, not only the three requirements, so depends upon the customer requirements, it is going on. So in the upper side you can see that like there are few words like sprint number 1, sprint number 2, and sprint number 3. So what is mean by sprint is in agile methodology, the time taken to plan, develop, and test and get the software deploy into the production. So the time taken to do all these activities, we are calling it as a sprint. So for the requirement 1, how much time we are taking for the planning and designing, developing, testing, and deploying, that we can call it as a sprint. So the sprint will be actually it is a 2 week sprint will be there, 3 week sprint will be there, 4 week sprint will be there. So it depends upon the complexity of the requirement. So how much time we require to get the software ready in the production, so we will derive the sprint timing over there. So how much time we are giving it, so in that much time we are going to complete our development of our requirement and we are going to deploy it. So we can call this sprint as the time taken to plan, develop, and test and get the software ready. So we can call this as a time taken, whatever time taking, that we can call it as a sprint. So for the requirement number 1, I was given sprint number 1. Once the requirement number 1 is ready, the sprint will be moving to the production, and then we are getting started with the sprint number 2 and then sprint number 3. Likewise it will be going to happen over there. So let's move on to the detail about this agile methodology and who are all going to participate in this. So in the so what is the exact agile methodology we are going to follow here? So all these things I will explain from this particular picture here. So here you can see the requirement is the main part for us, like whatever it may be the model in a SDLC, we are going to pick the requirements from the customer. So here what will happen now, here the product owner will be the person uh, he's responsible to take the requirements from the customer end. So he will take the requirements from the customer and he will changing that requirements into the product backlog. And here the sprint planning is going to happen, like I said, no, the plan which we are doing for the sprint, like here the development team, testing team, and business, everyone will be sitting here and they will plan for the sprint, like what are all the items from the product backlog. They will pick those items from the backlog and they will plan for the sprint. And the sprint backlog will be happen next. From that sprint backlog we are picking, developers will be pick the stories, and whatever the functionalities they are going to implement over there, they will develop it and they will give back the testing. So here the daily basis the stand-up meeting will be happen. So in this meeting the discussions will be going between the development team, testing team, and uh, everyone will participate here, right? They will clarify their doubts. So not only testing team, everyone will be involved in this meeting and they will clarify their doubts over there. And once the testing is completed, we are going to release that particular functionality to the production, like customer place. So here you can see all the floor level activities are going to handle by the scrum master. We can call him as a scrum master. He is going to handle from sprint planning to release until release. Okay. And so let's discuss what is the responsibilities of each and every person in this agile methodology, and from what phase to what phase we are moving in this agile methodology. So first of all, we will go with the requirement part. The first thing is requirement part. It is a common thing, like whenever we are going to develop a software, so the requirement part is important for us. So we are getting these requirements from the customer's point of view. Okay, so from customer we are taking the requirement. So here in agile methodology, product owner will be playing a role to get the requirements from the customer. So first of all, as I said earlier, in agile methodology, we are giving the high priority for the requirements. So whatever high priority given requirements, those we are developing first, and we are moving that to the production environment. So the first thing is like we can see here the product owner is there. He's the person, he's getting the requirements from the customer. And we can say the product owner is a person. He's like responsible to get the product and develop it and test it and getting it installed in the customer place. Okay, that means the product owner is the person responsible to get the product. That means get the requirement from the customer, develop it, test it, and getting it installed in the customer's place. He is the responsible for that. And also the product owner, like who owns the responsibility of the product that customer wants, like whatever customer wants. So the product owner will get the whole responsibility for that. And once the requirements are given by the customer, it is the responsibility of the product owner to analyze what customer wants, and what are the strategies that should be applied to give the product to the customer in a right time. So that means like after getting the requirement, he needs to analyze, like his responsibility is he needs to analyze what is customer exactly expecting from us, like from our developer software, what he is exactly expecting, and what are the strategies we should follow to give it particular software to the customer. So these two are the main responsibilities of the product owner. And also what he will do now after getting all the requirements, here you can see the number of requirements are there. From this n number of requirements, the product owner will break down the requirements into the parts. Okay, so that means he will get some 50 requirements over there. Out of 50 requirements, no, what he will do, no, he will break down the requirements into the parts, and based on the priority, decide how many sprints we should give this product to the customer. So here here you can see the sprint wise. Here the sprint 1, sprint 2, and sprint 3 are there. So likewise, like when the product owner is decided to break down the requirements, and he's giving the priority, he's setting the priority, and he's going to decide like how many sprints we should give this product to the customer. Once he decided means he will give the sprint wise requirements over there. So he will divide the sprints, the requirement, into the sprint wise. The requirements are getting uh, breakdown here. Okay, after analyzing the requirement, he is a person, he defined the deadline for that, like for each and every activity. Like for example, the sprint 1 has to be finished within 2 weeks, means he will decide the timeline. So depends upon the requirement, he is going to decide the timeline for that. And he like a product owner, he will analyze the requirement, and he will define the deadline for every activity, and also he decides the strategies of how the application should be developed. And also he should be tested by analyzing all this all these plannings, and what are the strategies, and what are all the breakdowns he did. He clearly defined what customer want, and what is the deadline for this, and how many sprints we should complete this particular complete software. So he will have separate, agile management tool will be there. In that he will define the requirements into the product backlog. Like he will break down the requirements into a product backlog, and he will set the priority of the particular requirement. So it is product backlog is nothing but from let us having 50 requirements from the customer. Out of 50 requirements, he is getting product owner will do the breakdown all the requirements over there, and he will give the priority to the each and every requirement. Depends upon the priority, he will split into the sprint, and development team will pick that particular functionality and they will develop it, and testing team will do the day testing. So likewise we are going to deploy it in the production. So with this, the product owner responsibility is done, like getting the requirements and what exactly customer want. He will define the deadline and he will give the priority to the requirement. With this, the product owner duties are completed over here. So the next thing is, whenever the product backlog is ready, so the next thing is like a sprint backlog. We can call it as like a sprint backlog or sprint planning will be happen here. So when it is going to happen is, once the product backlog is ready, we pick up the requirement which is of high priority. As I said earlier, depends upon the priority we are preparing the product backlog. So depends upon the priority set for the requirement. Here we are going to pick in the sprint planning or sprint backlog. Now here we are picking the high priority requirements first. Okay, and a development team will target how to complete this task within the specified time, and within the allocated time how testing team is going to perform the testing. All these things will be going to happen in the sprint planning meeting. So in sprint planning meeting, no, the people will be involving, the developers will be involved here, the test engineers will be involved here, and scrum masters will be involved here, and they will set the strategies, and the development team and testing team will come up with their own ideas, like how soon we can complete this particular functionality over there, and they will plan. Each and everyone will come up with their own plans over here. So they will discuss all these things in the sprint planning meeting, and the plan which they are coming up with, development team and testing team, is called as, we can call it as like a sprint planning. We are calling it as the sprint planning. The process which they are following, whoever having the ideas, like a development team will have some ideas, and testing team will have some ideas, and scrum master will have some ideas. So with combining all these plannings, no, they will define the deadline for this, what is the capacity of this particular sprint, and what is the load we are going to provide in this particular sprint. All these things will be discussed in this particular sprint planning, and they will prepare the sprint backlog. So from product backlog, after completion of the sprint planning, they will prepare the sprint backlog. So the sprint backlog is nothing but, if it is a 2 week sprint, within these 2 weeks, how many, how many stories we are going to complete, how many functionalities we are going to develop here. All those things will be uh, mapped in this particular sprint backlog. So here one more person we can see here, like a scrum master. In the bottom we can see, he's, as I said earlier, like he's going to manage all these floor level activities, like a sprint, from sprint planning onwards until unless sprint review. He's going to handle all these things over there. So let's discuss what is the responsibility of the scrum master and what he will do in this agile methodology. So the scrum master is a person, who is responsible to manage all the floor level activities and get the application developed and tested behalf of the product owner. So the product owner will be there. So his responsibility is getting the requirements and making that priority, and he will break down the requirements depends upon the priority, and he will provide the product backlog to the scrum master. So now the scrum master will do, on behalf of the product owner, he will perform his role, uh, he will manage all the level of activities, like the application development and testing and the deployment. All these things he is going to handle here. And the scrum master, while managing all the floor level activities, no, he should control and keep on checking the activities which were assigned. So in the as I said, like a scrum master will define, uh, or to whom the task is assigned, and he's continuously he's tracking whatever activity is going to happen in this particular sprint. Okay, and one more thing, the Scrum Master is responsible to conduct a stand-up meeting, and also he's the person who can assign the next sprint activities and the task to the development team and testing team over there. So the Scrum Master, what he's doing is like after getting the product backlog and sprint planning, so sprint backlog is getting ready. So what Scrum Master will do, no, in the sprint planning meeting itself, he will assign the stories and functionalities to the development team first of all. So after as I and also side by side the testing team will be involving this meeting in the sprint planning meeting, and they are also getting the stories for this particular sprint over there. So what will happen, no, after assigning all these stories, whatever defined in the sprint backlog, whatever defined to the development team, the scrum master will on daily basis he will track the all the activities from the development team and the testing team. So for that he needs one meeting, right? So that we can call it as a scrum meeting, and he will conduct a stand-up meeting as well. First we will check what is mean by scrum meeting and what is happening in the scrum meeting. So in scrum meeting what will happen on daily basis, the scrum master will conduct this meeting, and in this meeting no everyone will participate. So and developers, testers, and the business analyst, and everyone will participate in this particular scrum meeting. So here, who is going to conduct the Scrum meeting is Scrum Master is going to conduct this particular meeting. In Scrum meeting, what will happen? No, what was the work every team member did yesterday. So today, if the Scrum meeting is going to happen, so the Scrum Master will check what was happened yesterday, and what we are going to do today. After completion of yesterday's task update, he will check for the today's task, like what everyone is going to do today. And from these two, no, he will get some doubts from the team members, like if some difficulties may arise, like some complications will be come over there, some some blockers will become, so development team was unable to proceed with their logic implementation over there. So if any difficulties arises, no, he should address it to the team in the presence of the product owner and the scrum master. So if particular developer is coming up with some difficulties, like he was unable to, there might be chance of integration with the backend or database something. So he's getting any difficulties in that, the developer will say like yesterday I did this particular task and I faced this much issues, like this much difficulty while implementing that particular functionality. So he will explain that complication to the scrum master over there in the presence of product owner. So the same way, like testing team, if they found any bugs, and developer is saying if it is not a bug, and we can't able to fix this particular bug in this particular sprint, so these much complications will become, right? So in these complications, these complications will be discussed in the scrum meeting over there in presence of the scrum master and the product owner will be there, a business analyst will be there. If the business analyst part is coming over there, and he will explain the what is the exact functionality over there, and he will explain to the both the development team and testing team. So on daily basis, along with the scrum meeting, the stand-up calls will be happen. So in the stand-up calls, individual teams will be involving this stand-up calls. So for the development team there will be a separate stand-up call, and for testing team there will be a separate stand-up call. In that meeting they will also discuss what they did yesterday and what they are going to do today's plan, what is the today's plan, and are we going to reach out to our the sprint activities by the end of the day. So these kind of conversations will be happen on daily basis. So daily basis the scrum meeting is going to happen in presence of scrum master, but stand up meeting also going to happen with the individual teams over there. So what will happen, no, after completion of development and testing, so at the end of the sprint, the sprint end date came means that, so whatever functionalities we developed, so we will review, we will release that particular developed functionalities into the customer's place over there. So in this if you see there, the sprint review will be happen. In the sprint review what will happen, no, how many stories we developed over there, and how many stories, we move to the backlog again, and some bugs will be raised in this particular sprint. So those bugs are like they convert into a standalone bugs, and they will move on to the backlog again. So these kind of things will be happening in the sprint review. From this sprint review, if something was getting delayed, and they are not going to release in this particular sprint, no, at that moment what they will do, no, they will move that particular story or bug to the next sprint. So those kind of things are going to happen in the sprint review meeting. Okay. And if you see, here one graph is represented over there. Here you can see the task and the time. So this graph is nothing but this, we can call it as a burn down chart. In the agile methodology, the burn down chart will be there. So the burn down chart contains the time and task. These two it is having. The burn down chart will have the time and task. So this chart indicates how many activities are completed, and how many activities still having pending, and how many activities are completed. So if you see here, on the first day, we are starting the sprint over there. At that moment the task will be high. So at the end of the sprint, like for example, consider this point as a end of the sprint. At that moment what should happen, no, the task should come to the zero level. So it was like a 10th level. So when the time is getting increased, the sprint time is going to end, at the end of the sprint, the task should be come to the zero. If there is any difficulties, this particular graph, no, will come up with like up and down. Okay. So there might be a delay of getting the like a third party tool implementation or something. At that moment, no, these particular task, no, getting delayed over there, and they will scrum master will check the daily activities, right? So in that he will define whether we are going to implement this particular feature in this particular print or not. Those kind of things will be happen. So from this burn down chart, from this task on time burn down chart, at the end of the sprint, the burn down chart with regards to the task should be zero. So it should be zero. If it is not coming to the zero, there should be a proper reason why we are not going to reach this particular time, like a sprint end time, and why we are not going to implement that particular story. These kind of discussions will be happen in this particular agile methodology. So everything is a success, and for example, we implemented all the functionalities with respect to the time the task is coming to zero. So we will release that particular sprint to the customer place, and it will be going to the production environment. So after completion of the sprint, there is one more meeting is going to happen. That meeting we are calling it as a retrospective meeting. Okay, otherwise scrum review. We can call it as a scrum review or retrospective meeting. After the release, no, uh, once the sprint is over, the scrum master, in presence of the product owner, he will conduct a meeting with the scrum team, developers and testers, and everyone will involve in the scrum team. And to understand that this meeting agenda is to understand what are all the good procedures we followed in order to complete that particular sprint. In order to implement that functionalities in that particular sprint. And in the sprint planning itself, we will define some timelines, right? So what are the procedures we followed, like what are all the good procedures we followed to complete successful deliver for that particular functionality to the production. So these kind of discussions will be happen here. And simply saying like what went well in that particular sprint, and what not went well in that particular sprint, if there any difficulties faced by individual resources, so they will with respect to the scrum, retrospective meeting, no, they will define all their difficulties over there, and what is the good procedure each and everyone followed, their appreciations, these kind of things will be happen in the retrospective meeting. So with this, if something is going bad in this particular sprint, no, with this meeting they will rectify in the next sprint. While picking the next sprint, starting onwards, so they will rectify what are the difficulties or what are the challenges they faced in the previous sprint. Already they will discuss in this particular retrospective meeting, right? So they will take it as a positive for the next sprint, and they will implement those particular procedures in the next sprint. So this is what going to happen in the agile methodology. From requirement starting onwards, it is going to retrospective meeting. Okay, so here the main roles are like a product owner is the main role. He wants to get the requirements from the customer side, and he wants to prioritize those requirements into the product backlog. So he will play that particular role. He will be available for the whole sprint, but on behalf of her product owner, the scrum master is playing here. Like he will from the sprint planning onwards, the scrum master will be there, and scrum meetings will be happen, and they are doing like they are daily basis, they will verify the burn down charts over there, and they will do the sprint review meetings over there, and they will do the retrospective meetings over there. So this is how the agile methodology is going to work in the SDLC. I hope everyone got knowledge about what is agile methodology and what is the importance of agile methodology from the SDLC perspective. So please like, share and subscribe, and add your comments in the comment section. I will reply back as soon as possible. And the next video I will come with some other topic, a new topic. Until then, thank you so much. Bye bye.